So if you got an offer for medical school, but then when A-levels came around, you didn't make the grade, there are really 6 things that you can do, and I'm going to take you through all of them now. Now, the first one, and realistically, this is probably the least likely to do anything or work, is that you can call the universities and essentially grovel and see if they will take you. This is very rare that it works, but usually something that they'll maybe consider once in a blue moon if you were only 1 grade off. So if you needed A star AA and you got AAA, they may consider it. So it's always worth giving them a call to see whether that's possible. The second thing to do is clearing, which is also, there are very limited spaces for medicine in clearing, and something worth bearing in mind. Now, check out the Future Doc channel for more specific videos on clearing, because we do have lots of videos and lots of explanations, especially with lists of which universities to apply to, what their entry requirements are, and the numbers to call. But results day, on A-level results day, it's a very active day for people, and if you do hustle and you do have the grades, it's important that you can really make your fate by being proactive with that. The important thing to bear in mind is that you still need to meet the entry requirements. So if you went to a university and got an offer for somewhere that required A star AA, and then maybe you got AAB, none of the universities that are AAA are going to let you in, or the ones that are A star AA. So you need to make sure that you've still met their grade requirement to even be within a shot. So it's not worth calling the ones that you haven't got the requirements for, because it'll just be a waste of time, especially on a day where you need to move fast and kind of get there first. Now, I'll just say now that for every one of these things that I'm going to recommend, we do have a video on. So instead of me pointing to the corner every time to link you to a video, just search on the YouTube channel for Future Doc for that video, and you'll find something on there. Now, the next thing that you could do is, again, it's kind of through clearing, but is to, instead of taking a medicine course, obviously that's the one to go for if you can, but if you can't, is to choose a subject at a university that allows internal transfers. Now, again, it's not a given, and it is very difficult and very competitive, but if you work hard and you're focused, it can be done. So there are universities that allow internal transfers, or kind of semi-internal transfers, to sister or brother universities that will let you do that. So it's worth checking out the video that we did where we listed every single internal transfer option available at that moment of recording, and if that is an option to go into one of those courses through clearing or as a backup, then that is something that you can consider as well. Another option, and one that is sometimes overlooked, is going into medicine abroad. There are lots, again, of sister universities that will be in other countries that are associated to some very reputable universities, and they have put their name on it. They've obviously applied all of their standards to make sure that the teaching is of really good quality, and a lot of them are very good, and the opportunities to come back to the UK and practice once you qualify are pretty decent. So it is worth considering. Again, something that we are in the process of making another video on, so check out the channel for that if you're interested. But again, a valid option if you're really destined and want to go and study medicine and you don't really care that much where you get the degree from, a really viable option. The fifth option is just to straight up just reapply again. And at the end of the video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about when you go a second time, what you can do differently to really stack the odds in your favor this time. But when you're reapplying, you're basically going to be in one of 2 camps. You either have good A-levels and you basically are going to apply with the A-levels that you have, and maybe because you're in a situation where you've not got in because you haven't got the A-levels for a certain university, there are probably still many universities that with those grades you might actually be eligible still, so you don't have to resit any A-levels. However, there's the other camp where you may have to resit some A-levels and do that along the way. So you need to consider universities that accept resat A-levels. There are also universities that don't reconsider people who've applied before. So you need to make sure that you have the A-levels, that you have universities that accept resat A-levels if that's what you're doing, or universities that let you apply a second time if you didn't get in for whatever reason. And they all differ in how they do that. Some will not let you reapply if you've submitted an application to them at all and they've seen it and rejected you, then they won't let you reapply. Some will only not let you reapply if you've got all the way to interview, and then when they've seen your interview, they've decided you're not eligible and they don't want to offer you a place, then they say you can't reapply. Some will let you reapply regardless, even if they've seen you at university and said no, they don't mind you reapplying again. So it really depends on the university and your circumstances. And again, we've done another video specifically for that to help you. The sixth option is to go via the grad route. So maybe you go and do a degree in typically biomedical sciences or something like that. And as long as it's science-based, you can apply to most universities as a grad. There are universities that will accept non-science degrees, but that's a whole thing. Grad medicine is a whole minefield in itself, and we've got whole playlists on the channel dedicated specifically to that. But what I'm saying here is there is a route to get that degree and then apply as a grad. It is a lot more competitive, just be aware of that. However, it is still a viable option and something that people can do. The biggest difficulty that people have, the trickiest part, is for the financing, because unless you go via the 4-year rather than the 5-year route, if it's only down the 4-year route that you can still get a student loan to help with fees. If you go down the 5-year route, it's considered a second degree rather than a continuation of studies, and that is not a great thing, and I have lots of opinions about why that should be changed, but it makes it untenable to go via the 5-year route for a lot of people. So something worth considering. Really, the final thing that I'd like to offer you is some reassurance, because it is really disheartening to go through all of that process, to pick your universities, to write a personal statement, get the work experience, do the exams, do the interviews, get through all of that, and then not quite hit the grades that you need to get the offer. It can be really disheartening, but that doesn't mean that you aren't destined to or wouldn't make a great doctor. Lots of people don't quite get the exams that they need for whatever reason, and that doesn't rule you out of being a good doctor. It's really important that a lot of people have had some sort of stumbling point at some point in their career, whether it's at medical school, after medical school, or getting to medical school. And everybody really, it's a test of how much they want it and their resilience, whether they're willing to pick themselves up and go again. So I honestly think that you shouldn't be downhearted with it. And going a second time is very different as well, because usually when you're going the first time, you've got so much going on. You've got school, you've got to get prepared for the application. You've got all these things going on that are really difficult to manage. However, when you're applying after A-levels are over and you've left school, you can focus solely on maybe resitting an A-level, an exam or two here and there, but really you can put a lot of your focus on that application. And going second time around, it's very different, and it's just because you didn't do it the first time doesn't mean that you can't do it the second time. At Future Doc, on our program, we literally get dozens, if not hundreds, of people who have failed 1, 2, 3 times, and they come to us, and often it's just about how they manage it, or little mistakes that they're making, or really things that they didn't realize, and those can make all the difference. So really, I don't want you to be disheartened and think that it's not possible for you. If you really go for it and you really are smart about how you approach the application, it is something that you can do. So if you want to maybe get some help from Future Doc, or check us out on our website, we have loads of free resources that are incredibly useful, or you can check out a little bit more about the competition levels for medicine and a bit about the program if you wanted to join us. But otherwise, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.